And welcome to the hybrid regular board meeting of the Board of School Directors of the School District of Springfield Township. There was an executive session at 6:15 to discuss the Act 44 safety report and the memorandum of understanding with the police of Springfield Township. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A reading of the mission statement, Dr. Edlin.
The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community.
Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Michaels.
Mr. Bedard.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Edlin.
Here.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Lapidus. Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Ms. Sarsfield. Ms. Lipinski.
Here.
Dr. Teretuski.
Here. Announcements. The board at its discretion may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in policy 006.2, broadcasting of meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on Friday afternoon following the board meeting. Are there any public comments on agenda items? If there's anyone that is participating in the meeting on Zoom, if you would like to, if you have any comments on agenda items, you can use the hand raise feature. If you're called on, if you could please share where you live in the district. I don't see any comments at this time. Okay, so let's move to approval of minutes. May 4th, 2021 interim meeting board minutes S and May 17th, 2021 regular meeting board minutes T. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Second. Any comments or questions? Okay, Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard.
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Dr. Edlin.
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Teretuski.
Aye. Approval of Treasurer's Report, Treasurer's Report J. Is there a motion? Motion. And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard.
Yep, you're muted.
It's an aye. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Mr. DeFranco.
Aye.
Dr. Edlin.
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Teretuski.
Aye. Number 1, District PTA Report, EHSP and SDST, Chris Casabon and Kristen Gray.
Good evening, I'm Kristen Gray, President of the EHSP. I'm here tonight with Chris Casabon, who is representing the secondary HSP. I'll give the EHSP report and then I will turn it over to Chris. So it goes without saying that this year was unique since school was virtual and the EHSP held off all fundraising activities for the year. We did do a staff appreciation event for Teacher Appreciation Week, which went over well. And I do have to say thank you to the parents, Seedling and Sage, who are SDST parents. They did a phenomenal job catering the event, and we're really appreciative of them. In the fall, the 3 organizations, the MPA, the secondary, and the EHSP, came together to host an anti-bias workshop with Dr. Angela Campbell. It was a 2-part workshop, one geared to parents and another to students. This was well attended and well received by the schools and surrounding community. In addition, we joined forces to raise for Dr. Hacker's retirement gift. The EHSP MPA and secondary HSP contributed to the fund, which was the Nancy Hacker Equity and Social Justice Scholarship that is awarded to a graduating senior. We also purchased and planted a tree and had a plaque produced in her honor, which is located in the grassy area in front of the administration building. The EHSP and secondary HSP, as well as the MPA, took part in the tree dedication ceremony. We were very honored to do that. In the winter, we organized a social justice, equity, and inclusion book drive where the community responded generously to purchase age-appropriate anti-racist books for the elementary, middle, and high school libraries. We were very, very grateful for the outpouring of support we had, and actually had initially had only set the goal to do elementary, but we raised so much money, we were able to include all of the schools. So this was phenomenal. In March and April, we sponsored Brave Community Conversations, a 3-part, hour-and-a-half-long series. And in May, we hosted the NAACP Youth Leaders Town Hall. All of these initiatives brought the entire school community together to achieve common goals. The EHSP was proud to be part of this movement. We're looking forward to continuing doing joint initiatives with the MPA and the secondary HSP throughout the next school year. And as far as the EHSP is concerned, we're preparing ourselves to fully operate next school year by fundraising to support our many programs that support K through 5, such as mini grants, artist in resident, and grade specific events. There are a lot of new developments for the EHSP going into the next school year. In April, we announced that the secondary HSP will serve as a committee under the EHSP next year. Chris will review this further, but the EHSP's executive committee is thrilled at this concept, and we are looking forward to working together to better serve the students, families, and staff in our school community. So now I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
All right, great. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. Secondary had a very eventful and busy year this year. We started off the school year as a PTA and ended up as a committee operating under the EHSP. The secondary HSP executive committee consists of Amy Hubley, Dr. Aruna Padmanabhan, Bob Hartner, Susan Kling, Amana Mani Marcano Sowell, and me, Chris Casvant. It's been a journey arriving to this point, but we're very hopeful of the great things we can accomplish by operating together under one home and school partnership. I'm going to run down a few things we accomplished this year, in addition to the many events we co-sponsored with the EHSP and MPA that Kristen just reviewed. The secondary HSP is proud to report the following. In the beginning of the school year, we produced and distributed 200 masks to thank the staff at the middle school, high school, administration, and facilities. We hosted and facilitated well-attended monthly Zoom meetings to the secondary community that brought together the superintendent, middle and high school principals, and families to share news about the district, the middle and high school, and grade level event updates. We hosted special Zoom events in the fall and spring, including Dr. Philip Ginsberg, a world-renowned physician and speaker who facilitated a discussion about building resilience during troubling times to secondary students, families, and staff members. A financial literacy event with Mr. Delavan was the high school financial literacy teacher, facilitated discussion on building teens financial literacy with secondary families. We were actually hoping this course would be a requirement to graduate. So we're hoping you guys can talk amongst yourselves and maybe do that. In November, we completed the very involved and arduous process of dissolving the Springfield Township PTA. From November to April, we thoroughly investigated the best way to continue forward as a secondary HSP and proposed the EHSP that we align with them. They enthusiastically embraced the idea, and we agreed for this next school year that the secondary HSP will operate as a committee under the EHSP, while together we explore the idea of becoming a district-wide home and school partnership with the EHSP and secondary operating side by side. The EHSP was gracious to help us collect funds from the secondary families to fund a staff appreciation event that was held on Friday, June 4th at the middle and high school, where we served just over $200 lunches to the staff, the middle and high school, the administration, facilities, and bus drivers. Carla's Catering did the catering, and she, like Seedling and Sage, is a parent in the district, and she worked with us in the budget. She was fantastic and did a great job. Also, from the money we collected, we awarded 8 secondary HSP-sponsored high school graduation awards in the amount of $500 and 18 secondary HSP-sponsored middle school awards totaling $450. The awards have been historically funded by the Secondary Parent Association, so we were thrilled, given the circumstances of this year, that we were able to continue the tradition. We are excited. Keisha Bronson and 9 more volunteered to join the Secondary Executive Committee next year. We plan to operate fully in the fall by hosting our membership drive that funds the standard programs such as mini grants, grade level, and special events. In addition, the Secondary HSP Executive Committee will work closely with the EHSP to determine the best way to plan to move forward to working together. We're grateful for the EHSP to give us the safety net that you did, and we're really happy that we're working with you guys. So we feel like great times are ahead all the way around, and we're so grateful to the staff for helping the students and families get through this very challenging time, and we hope you have an excellent summer. So have a nice rest of your meeting.
Thank you so much.
It's hard speaking a mask.
You feel like you're gonna.
Thank you so much. It really is, I mean, the district has its work cut out for it, but it is such a blessing to have the parents and the support of the homeschool partnerships for our students. So thank you so much for all your work here. Reports and information, high school report, Madison Dunlap.
Thank you. So we have a lot of events closing out this school year as we head into the summer. Over at Enfield on May 28th, they had their color day. This year, they also had the Festival of the Arts, which was done virtually. And on the 17th, they will hold their second grade goodbye parade, where the students and the school members will get together and wish them good luck as they move on to third grade. Over at Erdenheim on Wednesday, June 2nd, they hosted their spring concert. On the 4th, the 5th graders were recognized for completing elementary school in the Spartan Stadium. On June 8th, they had their color day by Mr. Cruson, and the students had a fun-filled day competing and had the chance to rotate through 16 different activities to earn points for their team. This year, the Steel team won this year's color day. Today, the 5th grade received their yearbooks and had the chance to enjoy some fun in the sun during their yearbook signing at the high school. Over at the middle school on June 11th, they had their color day. On Monday, they had their grade level picnics. Today, they focused on giving back and up to others during their day of service. And on Thursday, they will have their 8th grade move up celebration. Over at the high school on June 8th, they had their senior award ceremony and senior picnic. On June 9th, they held graduation in the Spartan Stadium. And finally, on June 14th, they held thespian initiation. That includes my student involvements and activities report. Have a great summer.
Thanks so much, Liz.
Thank you.
Reports of committees, Finance Committee, Mr. Bedard.
Hi, happy to report on our Finance Committee meeting, which took place on June 3rd. It was a Zoom meeting at 8 a.m. Committee members present were myself, Mr. DeFranco, Dr. Etlin, and Mr. Lapidus, and Dr. Yannicone, Ms. Michaels, and Ms. Braun from the administration. 4 main topics of discussion, some of them showing up for votes this evening. The first is we reviewed the 2020-2021 fund balance, specifically funds that were assigned to food service. And so just to provide a little bit of the background on this, we've been operating at a bit of a deficit in our food service operations, meaning the amount of revenue that comes in from sales of the food versus the cost of actually providing that. And that's accumulated over time. And so there was some discussion on whether or not we should just eliminate that deficit altogether and move on using the fund balance, or whether or not we should eliminate it over time over the course of 2 or 3 years. After some debate and discussion, there was an agreement from the Finance Committee to recommend a 2-year elimination of that deficit. And that is up for vote this evening. I think that will allow us at least, to eliminate some of that deficit and then to assess whether or not we're comfortable with the impact that it's had on the fund balance. But we will plan to reduce that deficit completely over the course of 2 years. And in that 2-year time frame, we've asked the administration to reassess our current approach to food service. And so we'll have the opportunity to connect on that again. Second topic was actually a review and agreement on the final budget recommendation that's also on the agenda for this evening for the 2021-2022 school year. The committee reviewed all of the budget scenarios that would result in a tax increase of either 2% all the way up to 2.5% for residents in the township. A reminder that this is all below the recommended or expected index allowable by the state of Pennsylvania of, I believe it's 3%. Dr. Yanacone, please, or Ms. Michaels, please correct me if I'm wrong, 3%. The committee did align on a 2.5% impact to taxpayers. That would be a 2.5% increase in taxes going into that next school year to fund all of the academics and support for our students going into the year. Again, below the index approved by the state, but certainly, that's up for voting tonight. But the Finance Committee recommendation was that 2.5% increase. The third topic was a pretty easy one, the real estate tax collection dates. We will also review those and vote on those this evening. We went back to the pre-pandemic standard dates, and there was some discussion on whether or not any changes would need to happen there, but no objections to going back to the standard dates. Finally, we talked about the designation of the fund balance. So as we've talked about, there is a fund balance of $24 million and change. 8% of that is allowable to be unassigned for flexibility for the administration and the board to take care of things that would come up. The rest of that balance is actually assigned to specific projects. There was lots of discussion on how that would be allocated. The majority of these dollars are set aside for capital expenditures, servicing debt, as well as the old Enfield projects, all projects that this board and the administration have been very close to. And there was no objections to any of the fund balance designations or assignments going into the following year. It was a 45-minute meeting packed with discussion, and that is the update on the Finance Committee. Anything to add, members that were there?
Anything else? Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, thanks so much, Mr. Bedard.
Great. It is easier to talk without a mask.
It is, yes. Earlier this evening, we had an academic affairs committee. Dr. Etlin, could you provide?
Okay, I'll try to talk with mask. Okay, we met this afternoon. In attendance were Dr. Yanacone, Dr. Johnston, Dr. Rittenhouse, Dr. Martin, Ms. Zellner, Mr. Oliver, along with board members, Dr. Tara Tusky and Ms. Saplinski, as well as myself. There were two main focus in terms of curricula that we'll discuss today. And that is first, the world language curriculum for Spanish, German, and French. And the high school team put a lot of time, effort, research into exploring learning material for this language program. And what was decided on in terms of bringing forth today to the board for decision is the Vista Higher Learning Material. And this material is published by Vista, which is only focuses on foreign language. And the purpose of moving forward with this material is to really provide the students with greater access to opportunities for practicing the language, also for just moving forward and giving them more concrete support with moving in those language areas. The second curriculum that we discussed this evening was on the U.S. history. And looking at a resource for the U.S. history, particularly focusing on grades 9 and U.S. curriculum history for grade 10, which is the second curriculum. And the reason for this research and looking into materials to support this U.S. history was because the material that has been presently being used is far outdated. The focus on this new curriculum that is going to be presented this evening is to focus on giving the students an opportunity to interact better with the curriculum, providing new updated material in terms of news feeds and movies that are more current. It also provides scaffolding of materials so that the students can move very quickly and more successfully and succinctly from grade 9 through to grade 10. And it also provides an opportunity for extra practice, which will be interactive. We also discussed looking at technology. and looking at a decision to be made for the teachers as well as for the students. Unfortunately, as everyone is financially challenged, we're looking at extending the teachers' devices for them to use one more year, but making sure that we look and consider having our students only to not exceed the use of their technology for 3 years. Also discussed, aside from technology, was looking at the summer health and safety plan. And this is a plan that will be put in place for the months of July and August. And the purpose of this plan is to ensure that students and staff are protected to the extent that is feasible from COVID-19. And if by chance, and hopefully not by chance, transmission rates should rise significantly, this plan will be revised with recommendations from the PADOH and/or the MCOPH. Some considerations that will be included in this plan is that there will be professional learning opportunities for staff. There will also be ongoing health monitoring by the presence of a school nurse on site. There also is going to be maintenance of social distancing for students of at least 3 feet. And as far as face coverings will be optional by following Governor Wolf's lifting of this restriction as of June 28th. Maskings continue to be encouraged for those who are not fully vaccinated, and people who are fully vaccinated, who are not fully vaccinated, not to wear masks while outdoors. Moving on, educational materials such as books, writing materials, manipulatives, technology may be shared now among students and staff as needed. Cleaning protocols will still be in place, as well as making sure that faculty usage and access to all district activities and buildings are going to be honored to follow protocol. Also discussed was an update on the Spartan Academy, and those dates are going to be between July 26th and August the 20th, and there will be planned activities for all levels. And finally, our meeting was adjourned at 5:31.
Thanks, Dr. Peck. Are there any questions, comments from the board? Thank you. Administrative report, Dr. Yannicone.
Thank you, Dr. Tarotowski. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin my report by thanking Mrs. Sarsfield and Mrs. Lipinski for assisting our high school administration in the distribution of diplomas last Thursday night at commencement. We had a really beautiful night celebrating our seniors, and I'm so grateful to our high school administrative team, our facilities department, and our technology department for making the event truly memorable. I'd also like to recognize and thank our middle school team for today's day of service, benefiting Nightlight Ice Cream for Autism in Flowertown. I was able to visit the middle school and enjoyed seeing our students creating painted flower pots, planting gardens, painting paving stones for a future walkway, reading and playing outside, and even dunking Mr. Fuller and Mr. Payne, who are great sports today, and the weather cooperated. This Thursday, we look forward to celebrating the 8th grade as they are promoted to the high school. As Dr. Etlin mentioned, on tonight's board agenda, we have the recommendation for our summer health and safety plan. Among the motions for your consideration is that health and safety plans just for the summer. The plan focuses on professional development and training of staff, educational considerations, and operational procedures for our extended school year and Spartan Academy programs. Perhaps the most significant revision to our plan, as Dr. Etlin mentioned, is a change to the mask optional policy effective Monday, June 28th. As you know, Governor Wolf will be lifting the mask mandate on that date, along with all other mitigation measures. I've also been informed that over the next 2 weeks, Montgomery County will join several neighboring counties in recommending to lift masking mandates in schools. This is due to the very low rate of transmission in our region currently. We have had 34 days below 5% positivity and 22 days with fewer than 50 cases across Montgomery County. Our 14-day average in the county is 14.9 cases, and the county rates for last week are 8.7 in incidence and 1.1% positivity. Springfield Township is at 10.8 incidents and 0.25% positivity. The state is also low at 16 incidents and 1.9% positivity. It's really wonderful to be able to share the great news that due to the effective use of mitigation measures and increasing vaccination rates, at this time in our region, the virus is considered suppressed, though not eliminated. We will continue to encourage unvaccinated adults to wear masks indoors, but masking will be optional for students and all vaccinated staff. MCOPH is also not seeing transmission in any school-based activities. And we have experienced 0 positive cases in our schools since May 11th, despite the fact that we have removed the masking mandate at recess, during phys ed, and in sports. In the event that rates of transmission change, or that information is shared by the offices of public health that alters our views on masking being optional, we will review and adjust to support the health and safety of our students and school community. However, at this time, we feel confident that making masking optional is a safe decision for our summer programs. We hope that we'll be able to recommend a similar policy in our 2021-2022 health and safety plan, but we will not bring that forward to the board until we see how the summer progresses and what recommendations for fall are provided by state and county health agencies. We plan to bring the health and safety plan for next year to the board at our August 3rd meeting. Last week, we did survey the community on plans for the fall based upon a proposal that we will be open in person 5 days per week, likely with a mask optional policy, and that we will follow OPH guidance on mitigation measures for cleaning and sanitation. Currently, we have 1,990 students whose surveys were returned selecting to attend in person in the fall. 35 requesting virtual as an option, and 22 who plan to be enrolled in a private or independent school next year or who are moving out of the district. So that's about a 97.5% return rate on in-person instruction. We still have about 360 students to submit responses, but these numbers look really great for a back to normal approach in September. And finally, our spotlight tonight is on our 2021 retirees. We are very grateful to each of these professionals who have dedicated their careers to us as bus drivers, maintenance workers, and teachers. Each of our retirees will be mailed a crystal vase inscribed with our school logo, their name, and years of service to the district. Please welcome Mr. Nate Bray virtually. He is our Director of Transportation, and he's going to begin our recognition of retirees by introducing our 4 drivers who are retiring this year.
Thank you, Dr. Yannicone. So as Dr. Yannicone said, we had 4 retirements from the Transportation Department throughout the course of this year. There are 4 retirements that I can ill afford. So anybody on the meeting who might want to drive a school bus, there's an application online that I look forward to reviewing with you. And I will reach out to you at my earliest convenience. But the first 2 retirees that I would like to mention this evening are going to be Gus Frisco and Tom Kerr. And while it's unconventional to address 2 retirees at once, I wanted to mention some of their shared responsibilities before addressing just a couple of their individual contributions to the district. Our school bus mechanics are responsible for inspecting, maintaining, and repairing our fleet of 60 school buses, 3 minivans, our service truck, and the fleet of trucks and utility vehicles used by our facilities department. They perform tune-ups and some of the repairs on district lawnmowers, tractors, snowplows, emergency generators, and sometimes even golf carts. Basically, if it has wheels, an engine, or attaches to something that does, our school bus mechanics help keep it running. They're also among the people that report to work on snow days to help clear the parking lot for the transportation department, shovel sidewalks, and remove snow from the roof of every school bus before it can be put back on the road. While I'm known to say that our transportation department is lucky enough to have waterfront property, it's not always what it's cracked up to be. In August of 2020, severe storms caused Hillcrest Pond to overflow its banks and flood much of the transportation building with 6 to 8 inches of water, mud, and debris. While I believe it may have been Gus's first flood, I think it was about Tom's 4th or 5th. Our mechanics spent days shoveling, squeegeeing, sweeping, and drying every nook and cranny of the building that had been flooded. In the late summer and early fall of 2020, our mechanics faced a new challenge, returning a fleet to the road that had been sitting since March. They spent a great deal of time reacting to lists of school buses that wouldn't start or would only sometimes start, re-inspecting each vehicle to find what went wrong from sitting for so long, and in some cases, repairing vehicles multiple times before having them running reliably again. I would like to say just a couple of words about each individual on our maintenance team. Starting with Gus. Gus was hired as a school bus mechanic in April of 2010 and was dedicated in his role through his retirement in September of 2020. His attention to both planned and recurring service helped keep our maintenance team ahead of schedule on routine work like vehicle safety inspections and the resulting repairs, as well as preventive maintenance. Constantly chipping away at the fleet schedule allowed others on the maintenance team to react to the unexpected when it would arise without fear of falling behind. In the throes of a nationwide driver shortage, Gus willingly took on consistent extra work to help the department. While each of our mechanics helped by driving bus routes when we're short-staffed, Gus basically had his own route, which required him to come in early and often stay late every single day. In an environment where we sometimes wonder how we're going to be able to cover every run every day or on a particular day, I can't tell you how often his daily help would put that last piece of the puzzle into the puzzle. Gus, thank you for your time and the effort that you've given our team, and thank you for the personality that you brought to work. We'll miss you. Enjoy your retirement. I'd like to also say a few words about Tom, who is on the call tonight. Tom joined the Transportation Department in March of 1987. Yes, really, 1987. I, on the other hand, joined the Transportation Department in 2017. And since I missed the first 30 years of Tom's employment, it's kind of difficult to put into words everything that I absolutely know he did for the school district of Springfield Township. While his contributions to the department have been endless, to me, Tom was always a go-to during my time when I would look to expand some of our vehicle electronics, technology, things like cameras, GPS tracking, updated two-way radios. His careful work on electrical installations kept systems running reliably and kept vehicle interiors looking clean and in order. He always knew just the right space to install onboard electronics. In fact, I think there's a few demo units still in our buses that I might or might not be able to find when I need to return them to vendors. I'll call you, Tom. Tom also handled quite a bit of body work for us. It's fairly uncommon to find a great mechanic that's also able to do pretty good body work. Tom's skill and attention to detail have kept our bus fleet looking good and have unquestionably helped to save many thousands of dollars on what would have otherwise been outsourced repairs. Living only minutes from the transportation center, Tom was always a first or second phone call when after-hours problems would arise. School buses on evening field trips or sports trips rarely break down on schedule, and Tom was always ready to answer the call when a sudden problem were to come up. Tom, thank you for the 34 years that you've given to the school district of Springfield Township. Your contributions are absolutely appreciated, and you will absolutely be missed. Enjoy your retirement.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks, everybody.
An additional retiree from the Transportation Department, I'd like to talk about Marty Rogoff. Marty retired from the private business sector and began driving a school bus in November of 2012, just something to keep him busy. He quickly came to realize that he couldn't ask for a better part-time job. And once again, I'll reiterate, there are applications available online. He thoroughly enjoyed working with his students and greeted them with smiles and conversation each day. He even tried to dust off some of his Mandarin language skills from his days in international business so that he could communicate with some of his elementary school aged students. To be clear, I've never quite grasped just how much of the language he spoke or whether the students actually understood anything he said at all, but they would smile and nod, so there is that. During much of the school year, Marty would spend his weekends at the shore. He would select a route partially based on what time on a Friday he could be done so that he could get out before traffic. I don't think I've been forgiven yet for the year that I met him at 5:30 in the morning on the first day of school to tell him that I had to make some changes over the weekend. And I added another 30 minutes to his afternoon route. But he soldiered on. Marty was always extremely adaptable to change, and in the most recent school years was on bus routes that saw many changes and challenges throughout the school year. I think back to all of the changes he told me weren't possible, and how he'd be late for everything if I really wanted him to do this. But he always had a way of figuring out how to make it work. I can recall at one point walking up to an elementary school and finding his bus parked with him sitting in the sun on a bench, waiting for dismissal time. When I mentioned to him that I thought he was going to be late for, everything, he told me in so many words that I should worry about my job and he'll worry about his. Marty's personality and sense of humor were always something to look forward to when he stopped in to see us in the office. His caring and compassion for the students was commendable, as was his dedication to doing his job well. Marty, thank you for your contributions to the school district of Springfield Township and to the lives of the students that you have served. You'll always be missed, though, especially by me at 5:30 in the morning on the first day of school. Please enjoy your retirement. Finally, I'd like to talk about Jeannie Williams. Jeannie joined the transportation department in 2009 as a driver with a daily route and later grew into a position as one of our permanent substitute drivers. Substitute drivers can face particular challenges as they're expected on a moment's notice to be able to efficiently and safely navigate any route that we have. And what's often challenging about this is the sheer number of schools that we go to and how far away some of them really are. Her exhaustive knowledge of the Southeastern Pennsylvania region made her not only a qualified candidate for the position, but a successful one too. Jeannie also took the safety of the students on her bus very seriously. As a substitute driver, you never know how the regular route driver manages their bus, and sometimes student behaviors and expectations can be surprising. There would be days that Jeannie would come to my office at the end of the day and she would warn me, those kids, they might tell their parents that I'm mean, but I need them to follow my rules so that I can drive safely. Jeannie continued in this role until, because of unfortunate circumstances beyond her control, her school bus driver's license was canceled by the state. However, because of her fondness for her coworkers and the children that she had interacted with for years, she chose to stay with the transportation department as a school bus monitor. In that capacity, Jeannie finished out her career with the school district of Springfield Township, offering personalized and caring assistance to any student in our district that needed a little extra help or attention on the school bus. Jeannie, thank you for your service to the district and your contributions to the transportation department. Please enjoy your retirement. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Yannicone.
Thanks so much, Mr. Brea and Mr. Kerr. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And congratulations to all of our retirees out of the Office of Transportation. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Fuller for our next retirees recognition.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me virtually. And thanks for your kind words about the dunk tank, but it wasn't just me and Mr. Payne. It was a wide variety of teachers at the middle school who experienced the plunge today, and it was cold. So thanks for those words. So I'm here to talk tonight, and I have the pleasure to talk tonight about Mr. Scott Armington, who has been with the school district of Springfield Township for 19 years and been a teacher for 19 years. And what that means is that Scott Armington started his teaching career on August 28th, 2002, which is a distinct date in history because it is also the day that I started my teaching career in Montgomery County, Maryland. And so we share that, except that Scott Armington had a second, and according to his peers, possibly a third career prior to his teaching career. And so Scott enjoyed a career in the law just prior to his teaching career. And many of his peers tell me that he was an accountant, though many of his peers tell me that he wasn't. And so that's a really dubious thing. So we're going to have to get some clarification from Scott around whether or not he was an accountant, but 19 years with the school district of Springfield Township. Scott's also a resident of the township, and he and his wife Cheryl, they live in the district. They sent both of their children through the school district of Springfield Township all the way through their senior years. And those students were wonderful students. I heard the words good stock multiple times today in reference to Scott Armington, because we had a couple of students who just really, really tore it up in high school. I also want to say a few words about Scott, just as a person of character and patience and calm. Scott is a person who is just, He knows about everybody he talks to. He thinks about everybody he talks to before he opens his mouth. And he is just a calm in the center of the storm for everyone. The word that was mentioned over and over again about Scott was that he was a person of integrity. And so, you know, when I spoke to multiple peers today, what I heard was the word integrity. And I also, as the principal, I get to sign a lot of yearbooks, and I get to ask a lot of students as I'm signing their yearbooks who their favorite teacher was in their middle school experience. And over and over again, and more than anyone else, I hear the name Scott Armington. And so I think that's the greatest testament to Scott's work at the middle school, is that his students love him. And that's all any great teacher can ask for. Scott has also been, in my tenure, the leader of our 6th grade team. And he is a person who walks that line very well between advocacy for the team and leadership for the district. And he's somebody that I will sorely miss personally as a leader in our building and a member of our leadership team. And so with that, I'm going to say Scott's an avid runner. He's a distance runner. And so I'll say to Scott, thank you so much for going the distance with us. And I wish you open road and all the best in the future. So thank you so much, Scott. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Yannicka.
Mr. Fuller, we have Dr. Rittenhouse in person to speak about our next retiree. Dr. Rittenhouse.
Thank you, Dr. Yannicka. I did 1 year in a dunk tank and officially retired last year, so, and didn't do it well. So once again, good evening. I'd like to recognize all the retirees for all their efforts, and it is my pleasure to recognize Mildred, or Millie Brewa, who is retiring at the end of this week. Millie has been an awesome teacher at Springfield Township High School for 17 years as a member of the math department. Her classroom is right over my shoulder down the hallway here. Teaching math during a pandemic was a challenge, and she certainly did it well. And she also did it well for the 15 years before that. For the 2000 and 2021 school year, she taught trig, pre-calc honors, geometry honors, and algebra 2. In addition to being a math teacher, Millie took on the difficult role of being our SAT coordinator, administering the test in this lobby, again, during the pandemic, and before that, very difficult to do, and she did it well for hundreds of students. She was also a math tutor after school for all of our students. She is a respected and trusted colleague at the high school. We'll miss her very much. We wish you nothing but the best going forward, Millie, and hope you come back to visit your SCHS friends often. Thanks, Millie, for teaching math to over 1,000 students, including my own sons, who have very nice things to say about you. Congratulations, and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. Rittenhouse. Dr. McLaurin, you've been promoted, so you can share news about our next retiree.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate all the retirees this evening. I know it's such an honor to have the opportunity to be recognized just for your dedication and years of service to our school district. I have the honor and privilege of recognizing Mrs. Liz Pedraza, who will be retiring with us at Erdenheim Elementary School this year. Liz has been with our district since 1998, and she took the road where she had to really earn her position as a classroom teacher, starting off as an instructional aide, then earning a long-term substitute contract, and then becoming a teacher. And so she served in multiple roles. And so I can tell you that in every single role, she truly appreciated the opportunity to support our students and staff through the years. Liz, one of the things that I enjoy most about having the chance to speak about our retirees is just the ability to go back and look on, try to find as much information as I can about their history and how they've impacted students. And so I can share with you, looking back and gathering information, I was able to find some letters where, you know, parents reached out and just appreciated your ability to speak to students. I found one in particular where a parent thanked you for having a conversation with their child and just inspiring them to join band and chorus. And just that conversation allowed them to join. And then eventually they continue on to join band and chorus. I also look back at some of your own reflective notes from each year. And one of the constant themes was wanting to make sure that you could work with your colleagues and support your students. That was something that was a resounding theme every single year. And as I think back on my time and working with you, that's one of the things that I can say, Liz, stood out every single day. Your willingness to support your students, to make sure that they were supported. You were so invested in them and wanting to be successful that you really took it personally to heart. And I saw you after school every day working really hard to make sure that the next day that students can be successful. I also saw you working with your colleagues to make sure that they felt supported, having a voice, contributing and helping them grow as a team. And so through the years, Liz, you've had the chance to serve as a member of our 3rd grade team, a member of our 5th grade team. You've also had the chance to serve as a member of our Reading Olympics, as well as contribute on our Oveus committee, which I found, as well as our PBIS committee as well. And so through that, I can see, and I want you to see that you really worked hard to support our students. And so we are so grateful for you. So on behalf of our entire school community, we want to thank you for your service, 23 years of service to our school district and supporting our students and our staff and our community. And I want to leave you with one more thing. I was able to find your very first end of year reflection. I want to read with you what you shared after your very first year of teaching. And I think it's only fitting that we close out your last year of teaching. Here's what you said after your first year of teaching. As I come to the end of my first year as a classroom teacher, I am tired, but I am exhilarated with the experience. This class was a wonderful group of children who taught me as many things as I taught them. I am grateful to my grade level partners for patiently answering my myriad of questions this year and guiding me through the curriculum and routine. We worked well together, bouncing ideas off of each other and supporting each other in planning and preparation. Liz, as you close out your final year here with us, I hope you still feel the same. You may be a little bit exhausted, but I also hope that you feel that you are super excited and exhilarated from the experience that you've had with our students. But also too, I hope that you can still say to this day that while you've taught our students many things through the years, I know that they've taught you many things as well. And so as you go into retirement, I hope that you have the opportunity to reflect as much as you can on that back deck. And you think about all of the ways that you've supported our students through the years. I want you to know you'll be missed and you will always have a home here with us at Erdenheim Elementary School. And we hope to see you back to visit with us sometime soon. Congrats, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. McLaren, and to all of our teachers. It's great to see a few of you on the screen here, and I hope I'll be able to see you this week before you head off to greener pastures, happier times. And I certainly do hope, as Dr. McLaren just said, that you'll come back and visit us. And our final retiree, Mr. Thorne, is going to introduce, and he is also in person.
I want to hear this guy, greatest
Who is it? The presenter or the
retiree.
To take a minute to speak about Mr. Ray Slater. He was with the maintenance team when I first started here, but for quite a few years before I came. Ray was here for 37 plus years at the district. So he really seen a lot, helped a lot of people, was a great guy, a great coworker. And I just can't tell you how many people have came to me personally and said they really appreciated what Ray has done for them, for their students. He really went out of their way. He actually went and helped people at home who had issues. He was a great carpenter, just a master carpenter. And he would literally go to staff members' homes and help them with issues and problems and everything. So that's just the kind of employee he was. He was just outstanding, reliable throughout every year of his employment here in the district. Ray had such a positive impact on students and staff alike for the district. Again, I couldn't tell you how many times people came to sing Ray's praises on all the efforts he's done for everyone in the school community. Ray and I and all the maintenance guys spent many hours in the mornings shoveling snow, plowing snow, and late in the evening. And Ray never turned me down, was always here, was always the first one in the door, starting his plow and getting going. It was many tiring hours, but Ray never complained. He just had a smile on his face and said, "I'll stay as long as I can." It was wonderful. The first thing in the morning, Ray would come in and he would ask how he could help. Basically me or anyone over my tenure I've been here. He would just say, I have work orders to do, but if anybody needs hand or help, I certainly will help them out. And he always did, always helped everyone. One specific thing Ray did was we had a younger student at the old Enfield school, and Batman was his hero. So we had an event, and Ray took his own time, his own material, and built the young man a Batman car and presented it to him at this event. And just to see the student's face, it was priceless. And Ray did that, he went out of his way to make, such a positive experience for that young man. And all his teachers, everyone really appreciated it. So I really can't say enough about Ray and all the accomplishments over the years. He will forever be a part of our school community, a true Spartan. So thank you, Ray, for all you've done over the years.
Thanks so much, Mr. Thorne. And I know Mr. Slater is enjoying his retirement. He's had a few months to enjoy his retirement this year, and he's out golfing and enjoying himself. But truly, we have so many people who work behind the scenes to make sure that things are running smoothly in our schools. And Mr. Slater is one of those people. So we're so grateful for his 37 years. And with that, that concludes my administrative report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great administrative report. It's really a pleasure to hear about all the successes of our staff members and the contributions. And certainly we would not be the district that we are without all of our staff members, including our retirees. So thank you. All right, let's move to new business. First item is personnel. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment: certificated personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, extended school year program personnel, Spartan Academy personnel, COVID compensatory services, extra pay for extra responsibilities for 2021 to 2022, and conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman,
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Number 2, the health and safety plan. The Board of School Directors approves the health and safety plan for the extended school year program and Spartan Academies. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Second. Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman,
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. Number 3, a memorandum of understanding. The Board of School Directors approves the memorandum of understanding between Springfield Township Police Department and the School District of Springfield Township. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman,
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. At this time, we'd like to move motions 4 through 7 together. They're all software renewals. Is there a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions on any of those items this time? Okay. Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Taratuski.
Aye. And item 8, Virtual High School Consortium. The Board of School Directors approves the contract with the MCIU for participation in the Virtual High School Consortium for a total membership fee of $5,700 from July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etland,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. At this time, we'd like to group motion 9 and motion 10 together. These are both textbook adoptions. Is there a motion to move items 9 and 10?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Bedard,
Jeff, do you want to vote?
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etland,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye.
Yep.
Are you okay? We're going to move to number 11, overnight athletic. field
Unstable
trips.
internet connection. Aye.
Okay, that's fine. Overnight athletic field trips, tournaments and playoffs. The Board of School Directors approves various 2021 and 2022 athletic overnight field trips as per the attached attachment P. Is there a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etland,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. At this time, we will group items 12 through 14 into the next motion. These are all interagency agreements. Is there a motion to move items 12 through 14?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etland,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. Number 15, the 2021-2022 final budget. The Board of School Directors approves the attached budget resolution for the following 2021-2022 budget items. 1, the 2021-2022 school year expenditure budget in the amount of $62,739,104, requiring a tax rate of 35.3304 mils, representing an increase of 0.8617 mils, or an increase of 2.5% over the current tax rate. And 2, the resolution of the Homestead Farmstead exclusion as required by Special Session Act 1 of 2006, orders taxpayers to receive taxpayer relief funds. 5,303 households will receive a reduction in the amount of $353.86 from their tax bills. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions on the final budget?
Just, I do have a comment. I just want to thank the administration for going through a series of analysis scenarios and providing the board with all of the requested information to make an informed decision to support this on the Finance Committee and obviously through the rounds of discussions that we had in public forum as well. So appreciate a very thoughtful approach to this year's budget.
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etland,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski,
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. This time, there's a motion to move items 16 through 20. These are all finance items. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions on any of the items 16 through 20?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. Number 21, school bus purchases. The Board of School Directors approves the Sourcewell state contract to purchase one 2022 48-passenger Bluebird Vision school bus from Brightville Body Works for the amount of $98,603. Is there a motion
Motion.
and a second? Second. Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. The next motion is to move items 22 through 26. These are all facilities items. Is there a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski. Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. Number 27, technology lease services and accidental damage and protection agreements. Recommended motion, the Board of School Directors approves the following lease agreements with E+ Group, Inc. The number one, 3-year term not to exceed $348,000 for 800 Chromebooks pending solicitor review. And number 2, 3-year term not to exceed $502,000 for 250 teacher laptops pending solicitor review. The Board of School Directors approves the service and accidental damage and protection, including C000 pending solicitor review and approval. Is there a motion
Motion.
and a second? Second. Any comments or questions? I just have a question on what's include, is this a typo, including C00?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure, just including pending.
Give me 1 second. I can- It should be including Chromebook case is in parentheses, agreement with Riverside Technologies, Inc., not to exceed $104,000 pending solicitor review and approval.
Okay. Yeah, if we could just read the last section of that, and then I'll ask if there are any comments or questions on that part. Okay.
The Board of School Directors approves the service and accidental damage and protection, including Chromebook case agreement with Riverside Technologies, Inc., not to exceed $104,000 pending solicitor review and approval.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions on the remainder of that motion? All right, Ms. Michaels?
Mr. Bedard,
Aye.
Mr. DeFranco,
Aye.
Dr. Etlin,
Aye.
Mr. Needleman.
Aye.
Ms. Lipinski.
Aye.
Dr. Tartusky.
Aye. At this time, we'll have public comments on non-agenda items. If you would like to speak and you are on the video call, you can certainly use the hand raise feature to do so and just state where you live in the district when you are called on to speak. In public, we have Jennifer Bundy who signed up to speak. So if you would like to come up to the center, be happy to hear you. If you could just share for the record where you live in the district.
I live in Winmore.
Okay,
Do you need my actual address?
yes,
Okay, it's 8512 Widener Road in Winmore.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you to the members of the board for giving me this opportunity. I had emailed all of you first last summer, and then again a couple of weeks ago with a proposal that I had with regard to naming the library at Enfield in recognition or memory of Mr. Ed Little. As both an alumni of Enfield Elementary School, Enfield Middle School, and Springfield Township High School,
As well as being the parent of a rising junior, I have had the unique opportunity to know Mr. Little as both a child and an adult. When I was a little girl at Enfield, way back before our custodial sources were outsourced, Mr. Little was the head custodian as well as the man who sold us ice cream in the cafeteria. Everyone loved him. He loved being around children, and it showed. He was always kind and cheerful and did his job proudly and with a smile on his face. You can imagine my delight when my daughter started kindergarten and I discovered that Mr. Little was a volunteer in the library at the circulation desk. He helped the children learn how to check out the books. I would go into the library and read to the children as often as I could, and Mr. Little and I would reminisce. You see, he loved the children in our community at Enfield Elementary School so much that he never left. I'm attaching below an excerpt from his obituary. Ed Little was a custodian at Springfield Township Schools for 33 years. He retired in December of 2000 and immediately began volunteering at Enfield in the library for another 16 years. In his many years of service to our schools, he touched the lives of countless students and teachers with his humor and compassion. Sadly, Ed passed away at home in March of 2019. I think it is only fitting for a man who is so dedicated to our schools and our children that we name our brand new school library after him. Mr. Little was a wonderful man. When I posted his obituary on Facebook, many of my classmates, class of 1988, and friends from other grades all commented with a sentiment about how much they loved Mr. Little, how kind he was, and they shared remembrances of some kindness he showed to them. People like Mr. Little don't come around often. His life was a gift to our school community as a whole, but especially to our children. I know a few of you have children the same age as my daughter, and I am sure that your children will also remember Mr. Little well. As we now have opened our new school, please consider bestowing this honor on the life of a man who dedicated his life to our school and to our children. Let's have his memory live on in the future generations of other children as well. And I thank you in advance for your time and your consideration in this.
Thanks, Tiff.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We do have a policy of the board with regard to naming rights and naming various parts of our school facilities. So we'll review that policy and your request and take it under consideration. Sure. Are there any other comments on non-agenda items?
Dr. Teratuski, I just wanted to comment on that commentary and just say how much we appreciate, even in those kind words about the impact. Just appreciate you sharing that in public forum. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public on non-agenda items at this time? Okay, seeing none. Future meeting dates, we have the summer off. So our future meetings will be in August. There'll be an interim board meeting on Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. Here in the Freeze lobby, and we do have continuing plans to have a virtual option for our meetings. And the regular school board meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Also here in the Freeze lobby and on Zoom. Okay. And our last meeting of the year is adjourned. Have a good summer, everyone, and get some much needed rest.